Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks for popping in. This is an extra little catch-up video, just because a few of you have been in touch and said that you're struggling at the minute and, life's a bit tough and you're feeling a bit lonely. So I'm coming in just to invite you into my craft room and we're going to do a little project together. So take your coat off. I'm afraid you need your coat today. It's raining here in Cheshire. I'll make you a nice coffee, or do you want tea? What do you fancy? We'll have a nice brew, cheeky biscuit, and we'll have a good old crafty play. Now, you can find me today making cards for my local church. Elliot, my grandson, went to a craft group there, and oh, the most lovely, lovely people. And I gave them some card and some papers and things that I wasn't using, so they could use them with the children. And also they have an Alzheimer's coffee morning twice a week, so I know they do card making with the ladies and gentlemen there, so I know they're going to be used well. Anyway, cut a long story short, they sell cards as well. One of the ladies makes cards to sell for church funds, so I thought I'd make some nice generic cards that I would give them and see if that would help top up the funds. And I'm going for this design today just because we're going to make a little bit of a tile. I thought we've not done one of these for a while. Now, it may just with the light, obviously going to get a bit of glare, but I thought these were quite generic and I was hoping the parishioners might like them. So join me if you will. And we're going to start off, as you know, I can't get hold of my piece of card, look. I like using up my offcuts of card, and this one is 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches, and as you can see it's actually got a blue smudge on, but that's fine because we're going to cover it in blue ink. And I want a piece of kitchen, and I'm going to use 3 colours of my oxides. And I've gone for, and again it doesn't matter which 3, a light, medium and dark. I've gone for Stormy Sky, Mermaid, Lagoon and Prize Ribbon. Now again, you can use elements for this, you can use your distress inks. I just happen that oxides are my nearest to get hold of. And I'm going to start, and again you can use your round tools. I'm just using my little blending sponges, makeup sponges, and I'm just going to add the light blue on the top and then turn it round. And like I do, I like to just add the dark blue. You know what I'm like, we have this blending. Again, always dab it off on the lid. And we like to do it this way. Well, I do. I think it's a breakthrough for me with blending. Now, don't worry, look, you get little bits. These, my blending tools are well used. So I'll just blow those off. It just sounds daft, but if you blow, I don't want to use my hand and just brush any little bits off, because I am going to get ink on here, but also I could smudge that. So I just find it easy just over my bin to just blow. It wasn't over Eric, who is fast asleep here, I have to say. I'm just going to add this middle colour, and as you can see, it's quite good to show you that that blue looks like it's not going to blend in at all, doesn't it? I mean, look at that, it's quite a different tone, but fear not. We'll work on the bottom bit first, look, and we'll just blend it into the dark blue. That's going to be the easiest blend. And I'm going to use my blending sponge. I'm not adding any more ink to that dark blue, but I'm just going to work in that area. And there we go. I'm happy with that blend. But this top one looks a bit iffy, so I'll move over here. So I'm going to come in. Again, I'm not adding any more ink. Coming in with my mid colour, and I'm just fuzzying that edge, and already you can see that started to blend. And we'll come in with our lighter colour now, and again, let's have a look, turn it round. See, that's looking better. Let's come in with the middle colour again. Might even just pick up a little bit off the lid, and then we'll come in with the lighter colour. And I'm actually going to blend that all the way. And again, I go all different directions. Let's have a look. Yes, I like that. I'm happy with that. What do you think? That's certainly happy with that. So we'll pop the lids on. Again, it's just good to get in good practices. And we'll pop those over there. And let's just give this a bit of a clean. Now again, you could spritz that, I know, but honestly, I've got so many backgrounds we do this. If you're going to make your backgrounds, which is great, and again I do, but it's just being mindful to use them up. I'm trying to be really good at the minute and use things up. So I'm having a good old session and looking through my crafts or some papers that I haven't used for a while, maybe half-used pads. Like I say, I'm giving them away, donating them to charity, and using up all my scraps. And, you know, I'm trying to be a bit more, you know, good in my craft room, but it's not easy, is it? Because I think we get in bad habits, but I'm really, it's my big mission at the minute. So the stamp I've chosen for this is the Bullrushes. And again, I know you've seen me use it quite a bit, but I just think it's a lovely generic stamp. And often, as I say, I do have a tendency myself to make very florally cards, but not everybody likes florals. Now, I do think this design would work nicely as even, you know, a thinking of you card. You know, if somebody's not feeling well, or, I mean, often it's a little bit like, unfortunately, you know, with a bereavement, I always think in the beginning you get lots of cards, you know, sympathy cards, but I always think maybe a month later it's nice to send that person a card and just seeing that they're still doing okay, because often at that time almost people forget that you're on your own. So I think this will be one of those cards that might just, you know, I hope it's going okay, and I am thinking of you know, if you're still struggling, I'm here. I think it would make a nice, that sort of design. Now, I'm going to leave it here, look. I like the way we've got more on this side and we've got a space there. So we'll come in now with our field grass. And for this one, I'm going to come in with the Warm Breeze. Again, I think the colours just tie very well. And I don't want this to be very obvious. And we want it taller here, look. Quite funny, Eric's just had a shuffle. Are you all right, mate? He's fast asleep. If he starts dreaming, you'll hear him. Don't know what he chases, but he does seem to dream a lot and chase. I'm sure he's chasing something. Probably his tennis ball. Bless him, he likes to hold his tennis balls in his mouth when we go out, and he's got quite a few in the garden. And the other day, he had 2 in his mouth. He's so clever, this dog. And I always make him drop them before we go for our walk, and I forgot. And we'd got right past the garage and we were off the drive, and Carl suddenly went, "Oh, you've got one over on your mum there." And I looked and he was there, so happy with himself that he was taking his 2 tennis balls on the walk with us. So we've got our stamping there, and I just blotted it because I want to add our moon mask. And I don't want this to be too obvious. I want it to almost look like a, you know, a misty morning. So I'm thinking quite like it offset there. So I'm going to come in with our mid-tone, and actually I'm going to use my brush, I think, for this, rather than my blending sponge, and start at the bottom. Now, it won't show up very much at the bottom, but that's fine, because I almost want just half of it to show up anyway. You know, like when the moon or the sun is rising or setting, you don't necessarily see all of it. You know, like this, you just get that sort of hazy. And I think that works really well. So pop the lid on that. And then we'll just flick. We'll just have some nice water splats on there. And while they're drying, it gives me a chance to wipe this. Good old Inky Binky. And then get that back in the packet. And then we'll give that a bit of a pat. I don't want them to be too white. I think that's enough faux bleaching. And I'm just going to whiz with my drying tool. A couple of you have asked me recently the difference. This one, the Ranger Heat It tool, has got a large open area look, and it's really designed for drying, so it gives a wide spread of warm air, and it's designed for drying card and mixed media projects, and it's really a drying tool. The difference is with the other one, this one, the Wow, and this is the Embossing heat tool. And if you look, I don't know if I can show you, this has got a much smaller surface area here that the hot air comes out of. It's got 2 speeds and it's more directional. So this is designed more for embossing powders and this one is designed more for general heating. I know a couple of you are asking me about that. So what I'm going to do now, I mean that you could have it as a topper itself, and I do think this will be good for batch card making, but I thought we'd have a go at making a tile. So we're going to use our Versamark, our sticky ink pad. Now I'm going to use today, just because I've got a lot of it, ultra thick embossing crystal, because I've got a big pot look and I'm trying to use up products, but you could use your clear embossing. Have I got one here? Oh no, that's a white one. Anyway, your normal clear embossing and put 2 or 3 layers on. So we're going to put, and this is important why it was dry. So I'm just going to, I find it easy to take my work to my pad and give it a good press. I just find if I press the pad down, I'll get it on my card. And then we'll cover it in the crystals. I always think it's a good time to have a sort out your craft room and actually see what you've got and see if there's anything that you haven't used for a while. So we'll go for this corner here. Now I'm going to actually put one of these little crocodile clip heating tools just there to hold it. She says, and I nearly dropped it on Eric's head then. And I just want to put all this back before I get my heat tool out because I don't want this wafting anywhere, do I? Right, so I'm going to get my heat gun. Now this is louder than the other one, but because it's the embossing one, it's the right one for the choice. I'm going to put it on high. I'm going to let it heat up for a couple of seconds, and then I'm going to hold this and heat from underneath and show you. So it'll be a bit noisy, but the good thing is you don't have to listen to me for a minute. So we'll switch it on. I say it's on high, and I'm just going to let it heat up. And then I'm going to heat from underneath. And slowly, methodically move the heat tool around. So can you see as it's melting? Especially on that dark blue look, it'll look beautiful. Going to move that round there. Now, as I say, look at that, beautiful. Now, you get the same effect by using 3 layers. You're doing a triple emboss with your normal embossing powder. But I've got a couple of areas that I've missed. So what I'm going to do is bring in my embossing pen. And I'm going to put this over here. So I've got an area here. So I'm going to colour that in. Just pop a little bit of powder. Got a large area here. And we've got one there, so we'll put some on there. And again, I've got to be honest, this is easier when you're doing it at home on your own and you're not trying to record it. So But your embossing pen's great for this. So we'll see if we've got those areas. And I notice I've got a little bit in the middle there. So we'll just see if we can melt that into it. You do get odd areas. Now it will curl slightly. So what I tend to do with mine is when I've finished, once the embossing powder is lovely and dry, I pop a little acrylic plate over the top, acrylic block, and then I put paperweight on it, and it gets it so it's nice and flat. If you look at that one, the finished one, it's lovely and flat. So same thing again. We'll heat it up. Just deciding where to. So let's see if we can catch these areas and fill in the bits. Again, I'm heating from underneath. And turn it round. Get that last little bit here. Just add a bit of a bubble there. There we go, and if I lift that up, look at that. As I say, I'm going to let that cool, and then what I would do is get my acrylic block and my paperweight. I don't want to do it too soon. I just want to let that, I don't want to get an imprint in it. Now, if you want a crackle effect, you can pop these in the freezer and then they crackle. But do be careful not to try and bend the card. I mean, luckily that's quite flat now, because if you do, again, that can crack. But I've got to be honest, if it cracks, I just reheat it with my heat tool. So as I say, you could do that, but you would need 3 layers with your normal, and that's just called triple embossing. But I think that's lovely, and it's a lovely way to use up our little pieces of card. So I'm going to let that cool and then just make sure it's nice and flat. If there are any little areas that you're not keen on, as I say, use your embossing pen or just heat it up and pop your extra embossing powder on. And then all I've done, look, is added my sentiment. Now, I was tempted to add some blue splatters, but I thought not everybody likes splatters, so maybe I'll have some with splatters and some without. And then I've just stamped on the envelope, but again, permanent ink only, just in case whoever buys it wants to pop it in the post. But I'm going to go ahead, I've got a lovely little, I've got a 3-inch piece here, so I'm going to have a go with that. So although it's smaller, I think it'll look just as nice. So thanks for popping in, and I hope you have a go at this. And if not, I hope you've just enjoyed spending some time with me. As always, it's lovely to have your company. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you're getting up to. Just relax. Have some nice peace, some nice time, just some quality time. Listen to the birds maybe. You take care. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.